Hey everybody, welcome back to 90 and Out. I'm your host, Timothy Holt, and this channel is all about the Christian Bible. The who, what, where, when, and why. I'm a youth pastor at 6 Points Church, and if you want to check us out in person, feel free and do so. Youth night is every Tuesday at 6:30 to 8, and we'd love to have you. Check us out. Middle schoolers, high schoolers, all welcome. If you want to know what the Bible has to say, I highly recommend picking it up and reading it for yourself. Otherwise, keep watching. Right now, we're going through Paul's second letter to the Christians in Corinth. As such, we're going to be looking at chapter 9. Now, last week we covered chapter 8, which was used as a transition for Paul. So let's see what chapter 9 has to say and go from there. If you'd like to check out the rest of the content, feel free and do so. I'd love it if you supported this channel. If you'd like to support our church, you can find us on Givelify as well as in person. So go ahead and do that. None of these videos are monetized at this time, so there's no revenue in it from those aspects. So with that being said, hit that subscribe button, thumbs up, thumbs down, give some snide remarks, whatever you want to say, and let's get right into what Paul has to say to the ancient Corinthians, as well as you and I today. All right, so Paul is continuing his spiel, if you will, about how generous and profitable the Corinthians were, and how he boasts on their behalf to pretty much everybody else. He mentions the Macedonians and all of Achaia. So if you're familiar with ancient Roman breakdown of provinces, Achaia and Macedonia were neighboring provinces in what is modern-day Greek. Achaia was the Peloponnese, and Macedonia was the mainland. So Paul is giving a little bit of rivalry jesting here going on with their generosity in the beginning of this chapter. So he says, "Now concerning the ministering to the saints, it is superfluous for me to write to you, for I know your willingness, about which I boast of you to the Macedonians, that Achaia was ready a year ago." Yeah, so zeal stirred up, lest if some Macedonians, verse 4, come with me and find you unprepared, we, not to mention you, should be ashamed of this. So he's, I think, giving some encouragement, but also some rivalry is going on between those two churches, those two groups of Christians. Who can give more, one up the other on their giving kind of thing. Then he goes into a passage that for most Christians, if you've been a Christian for very long or you've been attending church for very long, you've undoubtedly heard this part quoted. It gets quoted a lot, especially around offering time. I wonder if there's something to that. So let's see what it has to say and see if you can pick it up. By the way, we are going to be covering this chapter in youth group this week. So we'll see what the teens have to say about it. All right, let's see here. "But this I say, he who vows sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will reap bountifully. So let each one give as he purposes in his heart, not grudgingly or of necessity, for," wait for it, yes, "God loves a cheerful giver." More than one prosperity preacher, gospel preacher, has used this very statement to swindle and bamboozle large sums of money out of very kind, generous people. God loves a cheerful giver, and God is able to make all grace abound towards you, that you, always having all sufficiency in all things, may have an abundance for every good work. Yeah. What is Paul talking about here? Is he really talking about what prosperity preachers are going to tell you? Is he really saying that, the more you give, the more you pay me, the better the blessing I give you? Yeah, woo! No, I don't think so. I don't think this is talking about the early Benny Hinn's or the Joel Osteens or pick your prosperity preacher flavor. No, I don't think that's what Paul's talking about here. Because Paul often uses the physical to relate to the spiritual in like fashion that Jesus did. So this particular passage, when I read it, it reminds me of what Jesus said about paying taxes. He said, hey, give me a coin, any coin. I happen to have a coin sitting right here on my desk. It is a U.S. dime. On the back is a torch and some tree-looking things. On the front is a dead guy's portrait. Okay? And Jesus took the coin, and it was most likely a denarii or a denarius, depending on how you pronounce it. But he took it, he looked at it, and went, hey, whose picture's on it? Whose picture is this? And the scribes, the Sadducees, the religious and government leaders of the province said, oh, well, that's Caesar. That's Caesar. Duh. Hello, that's Caesar. Right? And Jesus says, okay, well, here, go ahead. Here, you. Give back to Caesar what's his, but you should also give God what's God's. Yeah. Which is more important. Okay, and I think Paul's saying that here too. He's basically saying, don't be grudging. Don't go, oh, it's such a chore to give. I mean, why do we put our money in an offering plate anyway? I worked really hard for that money. That's not what Paul's saying. Paul's saying, give cheerfully. A lot of prosperity preachers will leave off one very key part of that passage here. And I'm going to read it again and see if you can pick up on it. If you can, let me know, okay? But this I say, he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will reap bountifully. So let each one give as he purposes in his heart, not grudgingly or of necessity, for God loves a cheerful giver. Whatever you purpose to do, do it. If you purpose to give a lot, then give a lot. If you purpose to give a little, then give a little. Now, Paul quotes an Old Testament passage here right after this in verse 9. He says, he has dispersed abroad, he has given to the poor, his righteousness endures forever. It's a psalm, by the way. Okay? Now, continuing on in the chapter, because context is key, now may he who supplies seed to the sower and bread for food supply and multiply the seed you have sown and increase the fruits of your righteousness, while you are enriched in everything for all liberally. Which causes thanksgiving through us to God for the administration of this service, not only supplies the needs of the saints, but also is abounding through many thanksgivings to God. While through the proof of this ministry they glorify God for the obedience of their confession to the gospel of Christ, and for your liberal sharing with them and all men, and by their prayer for you, not who long for you, because of the exceeding grace of God in you. Thanks be to God for his indescribable gift. So let that sink in, all right? Whose face is on the coin? Well, this one has a dead former president. Okay. So give to Caesar what's Caesar's, give to God what's God's. And God loves a cheerful giver, right? So, okay. But what is Paul talking about here? Is he really talking about money? Because chapter 8, he talks about an offering, a literal offering, money. We talked about that last week. He talks about a literal pile of cash, of coins, being collected to go to Jerusalem, because Jerusalem was, well, there was a revolt in Jerusalem, and Rome was not very happy about it. Okay, so lots of people died. There was bad things going on. No, this was not the revolt of 70 AD. This was the revolt that took place about 15 years earlier in 55 AD. Okay, not total destruction of the city, but it was pretty ugly and bad. And Paul's saying, hey, all of you Gentile Christians, help out our saints in Jerusalem who are hurting right now. Help them out. And he collects an actual offering pile, big pile of cash. Okay? A collection. Even says, hey, Timothy and who was it here? Let me look. Timothy was going to be one of the individuals, I believe. And Titus, yeah. Titus, as well as an unnamed third person, was going to be responsible for delivering this big chest of money to the Christians in Jerusalem, and how they orchestrated and picked who was taking it. They had to be trustworthy from everybody. Everybody had to trust them, all sides of it, so no impropriety going on. And then he cuts into 9 and says, hey, now concerning the ministering to the saints, he's commending them on how much they raised, basically. He's saying, wow, you guys brought in just so much money. It's great. And you're happy about it, and we're happy about it. That's the God loves a cheerful giver part. He's commending them. By the way, have you ever been in need and somebody you didn't expect to pull through and come through for you just goes, here, just to help you out? It's amazing feeling. We see them on TikTok, we see them on Facebook, and pick your social media, and you can find videos of unsuspecting waitresses getting a massive tip or things of that nature. Well, yeah, that's great. And as Christians, that's what we're expected to do. We're expected to see needs, first and foremost, see them, identify them, and then fill them. And then fill them from the abundance of our hearts. They glorify God for the obedience of your confession to the gospel of Christ and your liberal sharing with them. Not out of compulsion, not because the government tells you to, not because there are government welfare programs, not because of Marxism or socialism or handouts, but because we're Christians, and Christians take care of people. That's what we do. It's who we are. So, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave them in the comments section. I'll love to hear from you. And if you've ever had somebody pull through for you that you weren't expecting, I would love to hear your story. Okay? Love to hear it. Remember, don't give out a grudging necessity, but give because you want to. Don't give because you think you have to give. Hey, tithing's 10%. Make sure you pay that. No. Go, man, I want to 10%. What? Nah. We'll take care of so much more than that. How much you need? How much you need? What's the cost? Let's do it. Let's take care of it. That's the attitude of that we're supposed to have towards giving. Oh, there's a need? Great. How can I fill it? I don't want the minimum. I want to fill the need. No, I don't want to just barely meet it. I want to fill it. So, with that, may God bless you. Don't take my word for any of the reading. Pick it up, read it for yourself. And if you like this comment, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. When we're done going through 2 Corinthians, we're going to start a new series looking at popular music and what the messaging is of some popular music. So stay tuned for that. I'm pretty excited for it. May God bless you.